Well, Dallas will be back at the same time, 8 o'clock next Wednesday, here on BBC Wales. And the new edition of the Listener magazine includes an article on our much-loved soap operas and the crucial difference between the British soaps and their American cousins. That's the lighter side of the transatlantic divide in this week's edition of the Listener magazine.
There is every chance that two Welshmen will be competing in the same track final at the Olympic Games in South Korea in September. For Colin Jackson and Nigel Walker, two of the best sprint hurdlers in the world, the road to Seoul starts here in their native Cardiff. But where do they go in the next 5 months? What are their hopes and their fears? And who are the people they'll have to beat once they get there? The answers are in a special Olympic report. Now, after months when nothing much seemed to happen, the Welsh football season is boiling up into quite a finish. 3 clubs still in with a chance of promotion. And after this week's Welsh Cup semi-finals, who's going to be playing in Europe next season? There's also cricket, snooker, rugby, and, wait for it, hang gliding. Everyone a winner.
Well, back to this evening now on BBC Wales, and we've more of your points of view, introduced by Anne Robinson.
Good evening, and let's start with something entirely different.
Dear Anne Robinson, please thank the Brains Department upstairs.
Told you.
Please thank the Brains Department upstairs for their belated realization of the popularity of that most pleasurable programme, My Music. As these repeats are shown at the time of the children's slot, it is perhaps the intention to educate young minds to a variety of music and real wit.
Well, let's give them the benefit of the doubt, Mr. Freeland of Solihull.
Hang on. Do those upstairs know that a lot of children live north of the Watford Gap and not only watch but also understand children's programmes?
This irate mother from Carlisle goes on.
Please ask them lot to consider the top of the country and tell them we don't all have school holidays at exactly the same time. The son of this house enjoyed watching the children's serial Come Midnight Monday during the Easter holidays.
But come the last 2 episodes on the 11th and 12th of April, Carlisle and indeed Scotland were back to school. And Mrs. Julia Somerville.
No, not that one. The good-looking one.
As she describes herself, asks...
Have they ever had to contend with an extremely irate 6.5-year-old? Not a pretty sight. And I bet they wouldn't like to lose the last 2 episodes of their serial.
Oh, I don't think they watch serials, Mrs. S. I'm not sure they watch anything.
Can you tell me what the programme planners had in mind when they decided to put 2 programmes concerning modern technology on at the same time?
No.
I refer to Top Gear and Tomorrow's World, both being scheduled for 8 o'clock on Thursday. Do they think that viewers who enjoy the delights of the internal combustion engine don't have any interest in the broader aspects of science, engineering, and the many other topics covered by the weekly look at developments in technology? Yours sincerely, Tony Hainsworth, BSc.
You know, I think it might be an idea if we sent them a questionnaire. I mean, do they watch serials? Have they got a 6.5-year-old? Any idea when the Scottish term
And are the male chauvinists, selfish, thoughtless, boring BBC bosses all divorced due to the fact their wives have got rid of them for their selfish, pig-headed attitudes?
See, there's something else we can only guess at, Mrs. Taylor up there in Grimsby.
Well, please show them this, Anne, because I am fuming. A few weeks ago, I and a few other women wrote in about the lack of films shown for the female sex. Obviously, no notice has been taken of our letters. We are still getting war, war, war shoved at us every Sunday. Take Sunday the 10th of April, 3 o'clock film in which we serve about the Navy. 10 to 5, it's always fair weather, wartime pals meet up again. 7:15, Breaker Morant in the true story of the Boer War.
And Mrs. Taylor ends, for those hard of hearing, or rather slow at catching on.
I am so sick of war, war, war. Cowboys, cowboys, cowboys.
Ah, but female viewers did love something else.
Dear Anne, could I possibly do an arabesque and plead for you to show a clip from the ballet A Simple Man, the story of the painter Lowry? It was enthralling. The dancing, music, costumes, makeup, etc. were outstanding.
Anne Ailing of Brecon ends.
Congratulations to all for this fabulous production, proving a modern ballet can still be traditional, but so different and enjoyable.
Already a BAFTA winner and doubtless on its way to being a classic, Mrs. A. And for you and hundreds more who've asked, here's the Northern Valley Theatre. simple man. And from the streets of Salford too.
Middlesex.
It's just not going to go away, this one. And if you haven't watched Points of View for the last couple of weeks, no time for the story so far. Just pay attention and try and catch up with Barry Oliver, who was...
Born in Enfield, Middlesex 45 years ago, and let me make it quite clear, Middlesex still exists and is not extinct, as was read out. Extinct means put out. The thing put out in Middlesex is me, and I'm sure I'm not the only one in Middlesex erupting.
No, you are not, Mr. Oliver. A famous son of Uxbridge is also going potty.
Russell Grant.
Who is not only an astrologer, but also...
Patron of the Friends of the County of Middlesex, an organisation dedicated to promoting the continuing existence of the territorial county of Middlesex.
And Russell has this to say.
Dear Anne, you should be ashamed of yourself. Fancy a fine Lancastrian lass like you agreeing last week with that military maid that Middlesex no longer exists. Take your own Liverpool home. Did you assume that when Merseyside County Council was created, Liverpool was no longer in the county of Lancashire?
Not if you say not to, Russell.
Well, the same goes for Middlesex. Just because we lost our county council in 1965, we didn't lose our county. Now, once the truth gets out, then perhaps we will hear news bulletins talk once more of RAF Northolt, Harefield Hospital, and all other Middlesex towns placed in their rightful county.
And Russell ends?
So, Anne, as you can see, this is not a point of view, but a point of fact. And, as a Libran...
My birthday's the day before his mum's.
I'm quite sure that you will ensure fairness and justice is seen to be done. We're counting on you, kid.
Listen, Russ, it was the BBC News department that got me into this fine mess in the first place, so they deserve the next letter.
BBC News, Monday the 28th of March. It said Ian Botham was feeding the elephants with his family.
Rory Macpherson of Hopeman suggests...
Surely Ian and his family were feeding the elephants.
Now, much praise, as is always the case for QED, this time for their programme, Breaking the Silence.